Welcome, everybody. Welcome back after a long time since I've seen all you. I'm going to explain myself, why it's been a long time, but let me wish all of you a blessed feast day of all the North American saints, Romanian saints, and Russian saints. Blessings. So it's been a while. It's been a while because I was getting a new setup, as you can see. I was unable on my previous computer and internet to actually run live. I upgraded. Fast Eddie, good to see you. I upgraded my speed, my internet, new computer, new camera, and new microphones. So we are all good to go. And today I'm announcing I am back giving logic lectures. And for those of you who are tuning in, you get a special treat. I'm actually going to give you a taste, a foretaste of the kingdom of logic. Patrick Hurley. Patrick Hurley's logic. So for those of you that have been signing up for the logic courses, this is lecture 5 that I've completed. And lecture 5, we're stepping up our game. We are doing categorical propositions. So what we've been doing, for those of you that don't know and haven't signed up for the course, is that basically I'm teaching a university course on Patrick Hurley's Introduction to Logic. And it's a 2-hour course where I go through each chapter. And with your payment of $40, you actually get a free copy of this book as a PDF, which is a great deal because this book is $90 if you're going to borrow the hard copy. Great thing that I teach the logic course so I can get you a free PDF copy. Also, I include my personal notes, slides, links to my Discord so that logic students can chat and ask questions about logic. And what I like to do for each new logic lecture is continually improve the quality. So that's why I've invested some money and time into getting a new camera, new microphone, new preamp, upgrading the internet. And I'm just going to continue to try to do this just with your payment and registration as we go into the future of the logic courses. I just want the quality to get better and better. So let me just talk real quick about, and I'll make this short, it won't be too long of a video. My little advertisement for all of you, Father Deacon Dr. Ananias's logic course. Okay, lecture. So I'm advertising today lecture 5 because I just completed that. Let's see, shut this off here. I don't know what's going on with my word. Each lecture is $40. Now, if you bundle lectures, and right now I have 5 2-hour lectures, sometimes they go a little bit over 2 hours. You basically, with your payment, get a link, and then you can watch that lecture at any time. You can purchase these lectures at any time at your convenience. So it's not like you're missing out on, so you can always sign up for the course. But I wanted to give incentive and a financial discount for those of you that purchase in bundles. So you'll see here, if you do one lecture, right now I just want one lecture, it's $40 for the 2-hour lecture, and again, with that includes the link, the private link, the secret access to my 2-hour logic lecture. You'll get my personal notes which are oftentimes a summary and a breakdown of everything that we've covered in the logic lecture. And then you'll get the PowerPoint slides as well, and then a link to, again, the Discord. Now, if you buy 2 lectures in a bundle, you get $5 off. So $75 that equals 4-hour lecture. 3 lectures, $110, $10 off. 4 lectures, $135, and 5 lectures, $170, and so on. As people have purchased future lectures that I actually haven't recorded yet, because I'm estimating approximately 10 to 12 lectures to get through. And again, nobody's obligated. The early lectures as we go through are quite easy. You know, they're kind of defining terms, what arguments are, different passages, extended arguments. Chapter 2 is about fallacies, informal fallacies, and chapter 3 goes into further fallacies as well. But chapter 4 is really where we get into the nitty-gritty of logic with categorical propositions. And then it'll continue to get more and more advanced. And because of the difficulty level and just the amount of material, typically it'll take 2-hour lectures to get through a chapter. So that's why I'm estimating. I'm not going to do every single section out of Patrick Hurley's book, but that's why I'm estimating roughly 10 to 12 lectures. So how do you register, Father Deacon, for your logic course? Well, payment made to paypal.me/EricSorm1. That's my pagan name, my pagan Viking name before I was baptized, just like the Vikings, right? And with your registration, then you will receive an email confirmation with the links. If you purchase multiple, if one, the link, the slides, PowerPoint slides, and the notes. So there's my advertisement. So let me give you a little teaser of lecture 5. Shall we? Categorical propositions. Let's see, I just want to check in. 15 viewers. Hello, everyone. Blessings. Good to see you on here, even though I can't see your faces. I can feel your spirit is with me as I give you this teaser. So, in chapter 4 or lecture 5, we talk about the components of a categorical proposition. We talk about subject and predicate terms. And a lot of this is building up on, previous chapters where we talked about what classes are, denotation. There's a whole section on just defining terms in chapter 2. Predicate terms, subject. So this is where you start to get into logic, where it's like all S is P. S stands for subject, P for predicate. We talk about standard form categorical propositions. And you're going to get what we call in logic is quantifiers. Quantifier, like quantity, is telling you how much of something's included. Is it all of it? None of it? Some of it? And again, we talk about copula, which is a verb that links subject and predicate terms, defining subject and predicate terms. Then we talk about, in this lecture, quality. So, what are you doing when you're making a categorical proposition? Are you affirming, including, or excluding? Negative. So you have various forms, all S are P. So everything that is in the S class belongs in the P class. Or you could also make a particular affirmative, some S or P. Then you can also exclude. None of the things in the S category or class are part of the P category or class. You could also have another form of negative is some S are not P. So we talk about that. And then we give letter names in this lecture of the propositions. Now, when you mix the quantity and quality, so remember quantity, how much of the members of the class are we talking about? All or some? And quality, are you including it or excluding it? The members of that class or set from the others. If you're including, it's an affirmative. If you're talking about all of the class, it's a universal affirmative, some particular affirmative, and I'll just go to the slide so you can see what I'm talking about. So you see, this is the quantity, universal. Quality is affirmative. It's called the universal affirmative standard categorical proposition, and it's given the letter A. Universal negative. So you're talking about all are being excluded. All the members of a class are being excluded from the other class. No S or P. That's an E proposition. There's also particular for some SRP. So the quantity is particular. You're not talking about all, but you're including it as far as the quality. Are you excluding or including? Including. So it's affirmative. Particular affirmatives are called an I proposition. And finally, of the quantity, particular, and particular stands for either one or more than one, but not all, not a universe. So it's particular, and you can have a particular, the member or members of a class not included in the other class, so it's a negative. That's an O proposition. So you'll just notice here that they do the vowels A, E, I, and O. We talk about distribution in this, and then we get into Venn diagrams. So if people don't know what Venn diagrams are, this becomes some essential part within logic, and I can actually show you on some of my personal notes what a Venn diagram. Actually, that's what excluded. Okay, I got it. Remember the two circles? So those are Venn diagrams right there. We talk about George Boole versus Aristotle in this lecture. And we talk about the square of opposition. So once we in this lecture start to define the categorical propositions by letter names, so you see A is a universal affirmative and E is a universal negative, an I proposition is a particular affirmative and an O is a particular negative. So all S or P, no S or P, some S or P, and some S are not P. What the modern square of opposition does is it's based on Boolean logic, George Boole, as opposed to, and this has to do with things that we get in the lecture called existential import. You know, when we talk about things, they may exist or they may not. George Boole doesn't, as far as universal propositions, he doesn't consider any existential import. So you can talk about things like all werewolves are monsters, and it doesn't really matter that they don't exist or not. However, with particular propositions, when I say that some cats are animals, it implies an existential or an existence of that. So really, and I'm not going to get too far into that because I'm going to save it for the lecture, but that's the difference between Boolean logic and Aristotelian logic as far as what we're going to see in this lecture, the modern square of opposition based on Boolean logic versus the Aristotelian classic model in which we call that the traditional square of opposition. Now, what's so important about that square of opposition? Because we can start to analyze how different propositions are related logically to one another. Sometimes they're undetermined, we can't tell, but sometimes we can. For example, an A proposition, all S are P, is logically related to some S are not P is a contradiction. It's the opposite truth value. So if somebody says that all cars have 4 wheels, what's the opposite of that? Some cars do not have 4 wheels. They're 3-wheelers or something. I don't know. You know the ones I'm talking about with the 2 in the front and the one of those weird. Now, okay, you might argue that like, well, that's a tricycle. It doesn't constitute as a car. But just contact your local DMV and then you ask them, is that a motorcycle license that I need to get, or is it a normal vehicle license? No, I'm messing. But I'm just giving you an example of what would take to contradict that. And so you can think of your own examples, but what we see here is through these diagonals that they stand in different opposite truth values, what we call contradictory relations, whereas the other ones we just can't logically determine. And this is going to become important in analyzing arguments. Arguments we talked about in other chapters are inferences, and sometimes you can analyze immediate inferences either through, as I'll show you, the modern square of opposition, or testing for immediate inferences via the Venn diagram. So I'm going to show you in lecture 5 how to test immediate inferences to see if the argument's valid or invalid using both the square of opposition, modern, and traditional, and the Venn diagrams too. I like Venn diagrams because it gives you a different way of looking and analyzing something through a visual image, which often helps people. So if you are interested, that's lecture 5. Chapter 4, then I'm going to put up right here my ad on my screen capture. Lecture 5, $40, but again, you can buy in bundles and get a discounted rate. So if you buy 1 lecture, now remember I have 5 lectures available. I'm doing up to 10 to 12, so you can pre-order lectures. It helps to buy in bundles. 2 lectures, $75. 3 lectures, $110. If you buy 4 lectures together, $135. And then I bring it down to basically it includes 5 lectures for $170. How do you register for the course and get that? You make payment to paypal.me/EricSorm1. Or look me up under eSorm at apu.edu. I do have an old Irish account linked to a Hotmail. Do not use that. I cannot access any funds that go into that. You have to use this one. If some of you don't like PayPal, I can also do Venmo under Deacon Sorm. My last name right there. And again, with your payment, you will be registered for the course. I'll send an email confirmation. The free Patrick Hurley, A Concise Introduction to Logic, $90 value PDF book, course notes, and also the free PowerPoint slides. All right. So, there we go. Let me just look on Denchi, hello. Eli, blessings, brother. Good to see you. And Mark. So, sign up. Why? Because not only is logic super interesting, it's really beneficial. And not just, Olaf, good to see you. Not just in terms of for logic, but again, this is a logic and critical thinking course that everybody and anybody can benefit, especially in these crazy times that we live in which nobody seems to be operating by the most fundamental laws of decency, let alone logic. You'll be able to tell in the media, in the news, when you're speaking to people on social media, whether they're actually even presenting an argument, whether the argument's good, whether it's sound, valid, and why? Because hopefully, as students of logic science for my course, if you're interested in getting to the bottom of things, the truth. And a world full of lies and propaganda and manipulation, that becomes important. That's valuable. That is neat, right? So also, I'd say another practical benefit too is just in the workplace, whatever area that you're going into, logic is so universal that it's applicable in every aspect of life. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to argue with your boss, your mother, and father. Again, that's where, as clergy, the pastoral care would come in discernment. Better not use the argument. It's a good one, but you might make mom and dad mad. Shining Diamond, good to see you. So, but again, the whole idea is to get you to think, and to think correctly, deeply, critically, because as human beings being made in the image of God, we're fundamentally concerned with truth. And we live in a world of demons and spiritual warfare that wants to twist the truth. The devil is a liar, a deceiver, and wants to deceive us and manipulates people in various ways. And so, again, there's something very fundamental about learning to think clearly. They're in our prayers. You know, God, open my mind, illumine my heart, give me wisdom. You know, the church fathers, many of them knew logic very well. Now, that doesn't exclude not practicing your spiritual disciplines, but as a well-rounded individual, one that I'd like to see becomes truly human, that one has a heart of humility, a heart for God, a critical mind, compassion and humility. These aren't mutually exclusive categories. And again, it's beneficial to learn this in whatever area that you want to go into. It's obviously particularly useful with philosophy and theology, but I'd say even in the practical, everyday life of this crazy world and in the workplace as well, to help you analyze better. All right. Yeah, let's see. The question, ever dissolving the state of the U.S. So I won't comment on that. But by the way, guys, don't forget, um, during all this chaos, keep up your prayers. Um, Pray for the world. Pray for your enemies. Pray for the faithful. And with that, I bid you guys a farewell, a blessed evening. If you're on the other side of the world, good morning. And I'm back. I'm so happy to be back. Praise God that in the midst of such craziness, when people, a lot of you didn't have the money, a lot of people still don't have money, that the Lord blessed me with the ability. Some people donated the microphone and just the ability to upgrade so that I can continually provide you better and better content. My prayers in love to you all, and don't forget to remember your lowly deacon, the sinner, in your prayers as well. And hope to see you soon. Greens in Australia. Blessings.